Carl Jung was asked by a priest, "Do you believe in sin?" And Jung looked at him and said, "No, I do not believe in sin, because sin doesn't exist. Religion made it up to control you." The priest was shocked. He said, "But the Bible says we are all sinners, original sin. We are born broken." And Jung said, "You are not broken. You were never broken. Sin is not real. It is a concept religion invented, so you would always feel guilty and always need the church to fix you." The priest left angry, but years later he came back to Jung and he said, "You were right. I spent 30 years telling people they were sinners, and I watched them carry guilt their whole lives, guilt that was never theirs to carry." Jung kept that letter, and in his final writings he explained exactly what sin actually is, why it doesn't exist, and what religion uses it for. So, what did Jung discover about sin, and why doesn't it exist? Let me show you. The first thing Jung discovered about sin is that it is a religious invention, not a reality. Jung said, sin is not something you are born with. It is not something real. It is a concept religion created to make you feel broken, so you would need religion to fix you. Here is what Jung meant. When you were born, you were not sinful. You were a child, pure awareness, experiencing life. But religion told you, you are born a sinner. You are broken, you need to be saved. And you believed them. And from that moment you carried guilt. Guilt for being human, guilt for existing, guilt for things you didn't even do. Jung wrote, "Religion creates the wound and then sells you the cure. They tell you that you are a sinner, and then they tell you that only they can save you. This is not spirituality, this is control." Think about it. If you were told your whole life that you are broken, sinful, and guilty, what would you do? You would spend your whole life trying to fix yourself. You would obey. You would follow the rules. You would need religion forever. Jung said, sin is not a fact, it is a tool to keep you dependent, guilty, and obedient. But here is what else Jung discovered about sin. The second thing Jung discovered about sin is that it was created to control you. Jung said, sin is not about morality, it is not about right and wrong. Sin is a psychological tool designed to make you obedient. If you believe you are sinful, you will always be afraid, and fear is the most powerful form of control. Here is what Jung meant. Religion tells you, if you sin, you will go to hell. If you disobey, God will punish you. If you question, you are evil. And what does this create? Fear, constant fear. Fear of punishment, fear of judgment, fear of eternal suffering. And when you are afraid, what do? You obey, you don't question, you follow the rules, you confess, you ask for forgiveness, you stay dependent on the church. Jung wrote, the concept of sin keeps people trapped in a cycle of guilt and obedience. They sin, they feel guilty, they confess, they are forgiven, and then they sin again. This cycle never ends, and it is designed not to end. Think about it. If sin didn't exist, what would happen? You wouldn't need confession. You wouldn't need priests. You wouldn't need to be saved. You would be free. Jung said, religion needs you to believe you are a sinner, because the moment you stop believing that, you stop needing religion. But here is what else Jung discovered about sin. The third thing Jung discovered about sin is that it makes you hate yourself. Jung said, the worst thing about the concept of sin is not that it controls you. The worst thing is that it makes you believe you are fundamentally bad. And when you believe you are bad, you spend your entire life fighting against yourself. Here is what Jung meant. Religion tells you you are a sinner. You are born broken. Your nature is evil. Your desires are sinful. Your thoughts are wrong. And what does this do to you? It makes you hate who you are. It makes you believe that your natural self is the enemy, that your body is sinful, that your desires are wrong, that your humanity is a problem. Jung wrote, "When you are taught that you are sinful by nature, you internalize shame. You carry it everywhere. You feel guilty for wanting things. You feel guilty for being human, and this shame destroys you from the inside." Think about it. Have you ever felt guilty for things that are completely natural? For feeling angry, for wanting something, for being attracted to someone? That guilt was planted in you by the idea of sin. Jung said, sin is not real, but the shame it creates is very real, and that shame keeps you at war with yourself forever. But here is what else Jung discovered. The fourth thing Jung discovered about sin is that there is no original sin. You were not born broken. Jung said, the idea of original sin is one of the cruelest lies religion ever told. It says that you are guilty the moment you are born, that you inherit sin from Adam and Eve, that you come into this world already broken. This is not truth, this is psychological manipulation. Here is what Jung meant. Religion teaches that because Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, all humans are born sinful. You didn't do anything wrong, you didn't choose to sin, but you are guilty just for being born. And what does this do? It makes you believe that you are broken before you even start living, that you need to be saved, forgiven, cleansed just for existing. Jung wrote, original sin is a concept designed to make sure you never feel worthy. If you are born guilty, you will spend your whole life seeking forgiveness. You will never believe you are enough, and religion will always be there to remind you of that. Think about it. A baby is born, pure, innocent, and religion says, no, that baby is a sinner. That baby needs to be baptized, saved, cleansed. Jung said, you were not born broken, you were born whole. Sin is not in your nature, it was put in your mind. But here is what else Jung discovered. The fifth thing Jung discovered about sin is that what religion calls sin is just your shadow being rejected. Jung said, religion labels parts of you as sinful, your anger, your desire, your darkness, your sexuality. But these are not sins, these are parts of your psyche, and when you reject them, they don't disappear, they grow stronger in the unconscious. Here is what Jung meant. Religion tells you anger is a sin, lust is a sin, pride is a sin, greed is a sin. But Jung said these are not sins, they are natural human emotions and drives. Everyone has them, they are part of being human. And what happens when you are told these parts of you are sinful? You try to reject them, you try to hide them, you try to kill them. But Jung discovered you cannot kill parts of yourself. When you reject your shadow, it does not disappear. It grows in the darkness, and eventually it erupts. Think about it. How many priests who preach against lust get caught in sexual scandals? How many people who are taught anger is sinful explode in rage because they tried to reject their shadow instead of integrating it? Jung wrote, what religion calls sin, psychology calls the shadow. And the shadow is not evil, it is just unconscious. The solution is not rejection, it is integration. But here is what else Jung discovered about sin. The sixth thing Jung discovered about sin is that the concept of sin actually keeps you from God. Jung said, religion tells you that sin separates you from God. But it is not sin that separates you from God. It is the belief in sin that separates you. Because if you believe you are a sinner, you believe you are unworthy of God. And unworthiness creates distance. Here is what Jung meant. Religion says you are a sinner, you are separated from God. You need to confess, repent, be forgiven, and maybe, if you are good enough, you can get close to God. But Jung said this is backwards. You are not separated from God because of sin. You are separated from God because religion convinced you that you are not worthy. Jung wrote, God does not need you to be sinless. God does not need you to be perfect. The divine is not waiting for you to confess. The divine is already within you. But as long as you believe you are a sinner, you will never feel worthy of experiencing God directly. Think about it. If you believe you are broken, sinful, and guilty, will you ever feel close to God? No. You will feel distant, ashamed, unworthy. Jung said, sin is not what separates you from God. The belief in sin is what separates you. Let go of sin, and you let go of separation. But here is the final truth Jung discovered. The final thing Jung discovered about sin is that you were never a sinner. You never needed to be saved. Jung said, the greatest revelation you can have is this. You are not broken. You were never broken. Sin is not real. It is a story religion told you, so you would believe you needed them. But the truth is, you are whole. You always have been. Here is what Jung meant. Your whole life, religion told you, you are a sinner. You need to be saved. You need to be forgiven. You need to confess. You need the church. But Jung said, you don't. You never did. Sin is not part of your nature. It is not something you carry. It is a concept that was placed on you. When you let go of the belief in sin, what happens? You stop carrying guilt that was never yours. You stop hating yourself for being human. You stop feeling unworthy of God. Jung wrote, the moment you realize sin doesn't exist, you are free. Free from guilt, free from shame, free from the need to be saved, because you discover you were never broken in the first place. Think about it. What would your life look like if you stopped believing you were a sinner, if you stopped carrying guilt, if you stopped seeking forgiveness for just being human? Jung said, you are not a sinner. You are a human being, and being human is not a sin. This is what Jung discovered. So here is conclusion. What Carl Jung discovered about sin. 7 things that will change how you see yourself. 1. Sin is a religious invention, not a reality. Religion created the concept to make you feel broken, so you would need them to fix you. 2. Sin was created to control you. It uses fear and guilt to keep you obedient, dependent, and afraid. 3. Sin makes you hate yourself. It teaches you that your natural human self is fundamentally bad, and this creates shame that destroys you from the inside. 4. There is no original sin. You were not born broken. You were born whole. The idea that you inherit guilt just for being born is manipulation. 5. Sin is just shadow rejection. What religion calls sin, Jung calls the shadow, and rejecting your shadow does not make it disappear, it makes it stronger. 6. Sin keeps you from God. The belief that you are unworthy separates you from the divine, not sin itself, but the belief in sin. 7. You were never a sinner. You never needed to be saved. Sin is not real. It is a story religion told you, so you would always need them. If this video showed you that sin doesn't exist, subscribe to SYC Soul, because Jung's truth about religion, God, and the self continues. Hit the like button if you realized you were never broken. Share this video with someone who is carrying guilt they never deserved to carry, and leave one word in the comments: sin, guilt, free, whole, liberated, whatever feels true. Your word marks the moment you stopped believing you were a sinner and started recognizing you were always whole. This is SYC Soul. Jung's message about sin was not meant to destroy your faith. It was meant to destroy your guilt. Jung died in 1961, but before he died he said, "I spent my life watching people carry guilt for being human, guilt for existing, guilt for things they were told were sins, and I watched that guilt destroy them. So I will say it clearly, you are not a sinner, you were never a sinner. Sin is not real. What is real is that you are human, and being human is not something you need to be forgiven for. So stop believing you are a sinner, not because sin doesn't matter, but because you were never a sinner in the first place. You are not broken, you are not guilty, you are not sinful, you are whole, you always were. The choice is yours. Keep carrying guilt religion gave you, or realize you were never meant to carry it. You were always free." Carl Jung was asked by a student, "You say religion is wrong. You say prayer is useless. But then how? How do we experience God?" And Jung paused and said, "You already know how. You just forgot. Because religion taught you that you need them to reach God, but you don't." The student was confused. He said, "But without prayer, without church, without rituals, how do we connect?" And Jung smiled and said, "The same way I did, through silence, through being, through stopping." The student didn't understand, but Jung continued. He said religion made it complicated on purpose, so you would need them. But experiencing God is the simplest thing in the world. And then Jung taught the method he discovered to experience God without religion, without prayer, without anyone, just you and God. So how do you experience God without religion? Let me show you. The first step, Jung taught, to experiencing God is to stop searching outside. Jung said religion taught you to search for God everywhere, in churches, in books, in priests, in ritual. Entire life, religion told you go to church, read the Bible, talk to a priest, pray upward to God in heaven. But Jung discovered this is backwards. God is not outside. God is inside. And the more you search outside, the further you get from God. Jung wrote, "People spend their entire lives searching for God in temples, in mosques, in churches, but God was never in those places. God is in the one place they never looked, inside themselves." Think about it. You pray upward to a God in the sky. You go to church to be closer to God. You read holy books to learn about God. But all of this is looking outside. And Jung said, you cannot find what is inside by searching outside. It is like looking for your eyes in a mirror. You will never find them because they are doing the looking. So the first step is to stop. Stop searching. Stop looking outside. Stop asking others about God and turn inward. Jung said, the moment you stop searching outside, God appears inside, where God always was, waiting for you to stop looking somewhere else. But here is the second step that Jung taught. The second step Jung taught is to sit in silence. No prayer, no words, no ritual, just silence. Jung said, religion fills you with noise, prayers, sermons, songs, chanting, all noise. But God is not in the noise. God is in the silence between the noise. Here is what Jung meant. When you pray, you are talking to God, asking for things, confessing sins, reciting words. But Jung said, when you talk, you cannot listen, and God does not speak in words. God speaks in silence. So Jung taught a different way. Sit quietly, alone, no music, no words, no distractions, just sit and be silent. Jung wrote, I experienced God, not through prayer, but through silence, when I stopped talking to God and started being with God. This is not meditation with mantras or breathing. This is just sitting in complete silence and noticing what happens. Jung said, in silence you will notice something behind all your thoughts, a presence, an awareness that is always there, watching everything. That is God. Most people cannot sit in silence for even 5 minutes. Their mind screams, thoughts race, discomfort rises, and they quit. But Jung said that discomfort is the ego fighting to survive, because in silence the ego dies and God appears. So sit in silence every day. Start with 5 minutes. No phone, no music, no words, just you and silence. Jung said, if you can sit in silence for 30 minutes without speaking, without distraction, you will experience what no church can give you, direct contact with God. But here is the third step. The third step Jung taught is to ask one question while sitting in silence. The question is, who am I? Jung said, this is the most important question you will ever ask, and the answer is God. Here is what Jung meant. Sit in silence and ask yourself, who am I? Not what am I, not what do I do, but who is aware right now? And do not answer with words, just notice. Jung wrote, when you ask, who am I? Your mind will answer, I am John, I am a teacher, I am a Christian. But these are not who you are. These are what you pretend to be. So ask again, who am I? And notice the one asking, not the thoughts, not the answers, but the awareness itself that is asking. That, Jung said, is God. Jung said, you are not the person, the name, the body, the thoughts. You are the awareness behind all of that, the witness that sees everything. That is God experiencing itself as you. This question, who am I, is not intellectual, it is experiential. You are not trying to figure out an answer, you are trying to notice who is asking the question. Jung had a student once who sat in silence and asked, "Who am I?" for 30 minutes, and suddenly he started crying. He told Jung, "I realized I don't know who I am. I thought I did, but I don't." And Jung said, "Good. Now you are ready to discover who you actually are, not the person, but the awareness that was always there before the person. That is God. So sit in silence and ask, 'Who am I?' and notice the awareness asking the question. That awareness is not separate from God. That awareness is God." But here is the fourth step.
The fourth step, Jung taught, is to stop thinking about God. Jung said, you cannot think your way to God because God is not a thought. God is what remains when thinking stops. Here is what Jung meant. Religion taught you to think about God, read about God, study theology, debate doctrines, memorize scriptures. But Jung discovered thinking about God is not experiencing God. It is experiencing your thoughts. Jung wrote, people fill their minds with ideas about God, what God is like, what God wants, what God thinks. But these are not God. These are thoughts about God, and thoughts are not the thing. Think about it. You can think about water all day long, but thinking about water will never quench your thirst. You must drink the water. Jung said, the same is true of God. You can think about God forever, but you will never experience God until you stop thinking and start being. So, in silence, when thoughts arise about God, let them go. Do not follow them, do not engage, just notice they are there and return to the silence. Jung said, God is not in your thoughts about God. God is in the space between your thoughts. Jung had a patient, a theologian, who studied God for 40 years. He knew everything about God, every doctrine, every debate, but he came to Jung in despair. He said, I know everything about God, but I have never felt God. And Jung said, because you know too much, your knowledge is blocking the experience. Stop thinking about God, and you will finally meet God. The man tried. He sat in silence, and every time a thought about God arose, he let it go. And after weeks, he came back to Jung crying. He said, I felt God for the first time, not as an idea, but as a presence. Jung said, yes, because you stopped thinking about God and started being with God. So stop thinking about God, let thoughts pass, and rest in the silence where God is. But here is the fifth step.
The fifth step, Jung taught, is to notice the awareness that is always there. Jung said, you are always aware, even when you are not aware that you are aware. And that awareness is God. Here is what Jung meant. Right now, you are aware of reading these words. But who is aware? Not your body, not your thoughts, not your name. Something deeper, the awareness itself. Jung wrote, behind every thought, behind every feeling, behind every experience, there is awareness witnessing everything. That awareness is not separate from God. That awareness is God experiencing itself. And here is the practice. Sit in silence and notice you are aware of your breath, of sounds around you, of thoughts passing. But do not focus on what you are aware of. Focus on the awareness itself. Jung said, most people spend their entire lives aware of things, but never aware of awareness. It is like watching a movie. You focus on the screen, the images, the story, but you never notice the light behind the screen projecting everything. That light is awareness. And Jung said, when you notice the awareness itself, not just what you are aware of, you experience God directly. Jung had a moment in 1944 after his heart attack where he died for several minutes, and he said, I was not aware of anything. I was awareness itself, pure, infinite, and I realized this awareness is not mine. It is God's, and I am it. So in silence, notice you are aware and ask, what is this awareness? Where does it come from? And you will realize it has no source. It just is, always there, never born, never dying, eternal, infinite. That, Jung said, is God. Jung wrote, God is not something you find. God is what you are when you notice the awareness that you already are. But here is the sixth step, and this one is the most important.
The sixth step, Jung taught, is to let go of the person. Jung said, you cannot experience God while believing you are the person, because God is not a person. God is what remains when the person disappears. Here is what Jung meant. Your entire life you believed you are the person, your name, your body, your story, your identity. But Jung discovered this is the barrier between you and God. Jung wrote, the person is an illusion, a costume you wear, and as long as you believe you are the costume, you cannot experience what you actually are, God. So in silence, notice all the things you think you are. I am a man. I am a Christian. I am successful. I am a failure. All of these are stories about the person, but you are not the person. You are the awareness witnessing the person. Jung said, when you sit in silence and watch your thoughts, you will notice there is a you watching the thoughts, and there is a you inside the thoughts. The you watching is God. The you inside is the person. And the practice is to identify with the watcher, not the watched. Jung had a patient, a businessman, very successful, who came to Jung and said, I want to experience God, but I cannot let go of who I am. And Jung said, who you are is not who you think you are. You are not the businessman. You are the awareness that knows you are a businessman. The man was confused, but Jung continued, sit in silence and notice you can watch yourself thinking, I am a businessman. Who is watching that thought? The man tried, and after weeks he came back and said, I realized I am not the businessman. I am something watching the businessman, and that something has no name, no story. It just is. And Jung said, yes, that is God. You just experienced what religion could never give you, direct recognition of what you are beyond the person. So let go of the person, the identity, the story, and rest as the awareness that was always there before the person. That awareness is God. But here is the final step.
The final step, Jung taught, is the simplest and the hardest. Just be. Jung said, you do not need to do anything to experience God. You just need to stop doing and be. Here is what Jung meant. Religion taught you God requires effort. Pray harder, study more, be better, do rituals, earn God's love. But Jung discovered God requires nothing, because you are already what you are seeking. Jung wrote, people exhaust themselves trying to reach God, but God is not somewhere else. God is what you are when you stop trying to be anything at all. So the final step is to just sit and be, not trying to experience God, not trying to feel anything, not trying to achieve anything, just being, present, aware, alive. Jung said, the moment you stop trying to experience God, God appears, because God is not something you get, God is what you are. Think about it. A wave in the ocean does not need to find the ocean. The wave is already the ocean. It just forgot because it was focused on being a wave. Jung said, you are not separate from God, trying to reach God. You are God, pretending to be separate. And the moment you stop pretending, you realize you were always God. So just sit in silence, not doing anything, not seeking anything, not becoming anything, just being what you already are. Jung said, this is the secret religion never taught. God is not found through effort. God is found through rest. When you stop all striving, all seeking, all doing, and just be, you are God. Jung practiced this daily. Every morning he would sit for 1 hour in complete silence, not praying, not meditating, not seeking, just being. And he said, in that hour I am not Carl Jung, I am not a psychologist, I am not anything, I just am. And in that being I experience what no religion could ever give me, God as myself. This is the final step. Stop doing, stop trying, stop seeking, and just be. Jung wrote, God is not complicated. Humans made it complicated so they could sell you solutions. But the truth is simple. You are already what you are looking for. You just need to stop looking and be.
Conclusion. So here is how to experience God without religion, according to Carl Jung. 7 steps. Step 1. Stop searching outside. God is not out there. God is inside. Step 2. Sit in silence. No prayer, no words, just silence. Step 3. Ask, who am I? And notice the awareness asking the question. Step 4. Stop thinking about God. God is not a thought. God is what remains when thinking stops. Step 5. Notice the awareness that is always there, behind everything. Step 6. Let go of the person, the identity, the story. You are not the person, you are the awareness. Step 7. Just be. Stop doing, stop seeking, and rest as what you already are, God. Jung spent his entire life teaching this, that you do not need religion to experience God. You just need to sit in silence and recognize what you already are. If this video showed you how to experience God without religion, subscribe to SYC Soul, because Jung's wisdom continues. Hit the like button if you are ready to stop searching and start being. Share this video with someone who is tired of religion but still wants to experience God. And leave one word in the comments: silence, awareness, being, God, peace, whatever feels true. Your word marks the moment when you stopped needing religion to find God and started experiencing God yourself. This is SYC Soul. Jung's message about experiencing God was not about learning more things. It was about unlearning everything religion taught you and returning to what you always were before religion, before the person, before the story. Just awareness, just being, just God. Jung died in 1961, but before he died, he said, "I experienced God, not in a church, not through a priest, not in a book, but in silence, in being, in myself. And if I can, so can you." You do not need permission. You do not need a middleman. You just need to sit quietly and be, and God will appear, not as something new, but as what you always were before you forgot. So sit today in silence for just 5 minutes and ask, "Who am I?" and notice the awareness behind the question. That awareness is not separate from God. That awareness is God, and you are it right now. You always were. You just forgot. Religion made you forget, so you would need them. But you don't. You never did. God is here, in you, as you, waiting for you to stop searching and finally just be.